how the NBA dumbest rule broke the MVP race. Let's go.
His eligibility for individual honors is now very much in doubt because of the 65-game rule.
Players that are actively deconditioning themselves, making it harder to do 82 games. The load management was not created by the players.
Potential ineligibility for postseason awards after a career-defining season is a clear indictment of the 65-game rule.
I want you to imagine being Cade Cunningham for a second. You're 24 years old. You're leading the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. You're averaging 24.9 points, 10.1 assists, and 5.6 rebounds a game. You lead the entire NBA with 603 assists, and nobody is even close. You are having the best season of your life. The kind of season that guys dream about. The kind of season that defines careers. And then you dive for a loose ball against the Washington Wizards, a team that's 16-55, by the way, and you collide with Trey Johnson and suffer a collapsed lung. Your lung literally collapses inside your body because you are playing too hard for a team that is dominating the league. This is the type of effort that rocketed the Detroit Pistons to the top of the Eastern Conference, and now you are suffering as a result of it. And because of one rule, one single rule that Adam Silver pushed through 3 years ago, there is a very real chance that Cade Cunningham, who is in the midst of resurrecting a dormant Detroit Pistons franchise that hasn't been relevant in almost 2 decades.
Yeah, facts, bro. 2004 last time they won, bro.
Cunningham will not be eligible for All-NBA, and his incredible season will be all for naught because you will not be eligible for MVP votes because his last game only lasted 5 minutes, under the 20-minute threshold. So he's currently just sitting at 60 qualifying games instead of 65. And here's the craziest part, he is not the only person getting.
Man, I don't know about the MVP race, like how they calculate, because this shit is going crazy. Like they don't even have, like, they put stupid rules in, last moment rule. This is how America, that's why America is going down. But that's just another episode. That's a whole nother episode. But the sports, leave the sports out. Like, don't even chat about sports. Don't even say anything about sports. I'm a Lakers fan myself, but bro, Cade Cunningham, you have to respect, like, his grind. Drop in the comments, when was Cade Cunningham drafted?
Screwed by this rule. Not even close. Alright, so before we get into the absolute mess that this rule has created this season, regular season. This was supposed to be appointment television. LeBron James's Heat, the defending champions, the biggest draw in the NBA at the time. It was San Antonio's only regular season visit to Miami. TNT cameras are rolling. Fans paid good money. And what did Pop do? He sent Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Danny Green home. He didn't even bring them to the arena. He just said,
"Nah, we're at the end of a road trip, 4 games in 5 nights, and my guys need rest."
Now, Pop's reasoning was actually pretty logical. He even said it himself. We've done this before in hopes of making a wiser decision rather than a popular decision.
The league has to understand that the science of what we do is a whole lot more sophisticated than it used to be.
Bro. This guy right here, he knows about his player. He treated his player well. That's why they were able to win against LeBron, because LeBron was exhausted. LeBron played all season.
It definitely added years to people, so it's a trade-off. You want to see this guy in this one game, or do you want to see him for 3 more years of his career?
And look, those Spurs teams were old. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, they had been playing international basketball, long playoff runs, the whole 9 yards for over a decade. Pop was trying to keep them healthy for when it mattered. Honestly, it worked. The San Antonio Spurs were competitive for years, longer than they probably should have been. But David Stern was furious, and how could he not be?
I don't say about anything about him, but where was he found recently? In what files?
This was a nationally televised game between 2 teams that would eventually meet one another in the NBA Finals, although he didn't know it at the time. So Stern fined the Spurs $250,000. At the time, this was one of the 10 biggest fines in NBA history. And he said San Antonio did a disservice to the league and our fans. And here's the ironic part.
And now in 2026, you get fined like that amount just for, like, clapping to the referee or doing something like.
Before Stern cracked down, his own deputy commissioner, Adam Silver, had actually defended Greg Popovich. Silver said in 2012 that the strategic resting of particular players on particular nights is within the discretion of the teams, and that Popovich was probably the last coach that I would second guess. Remember that. Adam Silver was defending load management, and now he is the guy who creates the the most aggressive anti-load management rule in
okay. So he
NBA
was
history. The flip-flop here.
When the thing was not his, he was like, like how they do it in politics too, like talking about, oh, you're doing this, you're supporting that, and then when you come to power, you're doing the same, basically. So yeah.
Here is insane. Now, after 2012, the wrestling didn't go away. It got worse. Pop kept doing it. He once literally listed Tim Duncan as DNP-old in the box score, which is absolutely hilarious, but also tells you how little he cared about the league's feelings on this. And then the concept really blew up in 2018 to 19 when the Toronto Raptors load managed Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi played only 60 out of 82 games despite never having a serious injury that season. He'd just be listed with vague stuff like sore knee on off nights. And what happened? He ended up winning a championship. He won finals MVP.
That's when you want to win championships, you have to think as a team. You cannot play them against the worst team in the league, right? And some guy that is pissed off that he doesn't play, he comes in as a bench player, he comes in last minute, he like pushes the guy falls, hit his head, he's gone out. He cannot play for the entire season. He has a brain injury. Like, just that's the thing that NBA players have to go through.
It worked perfectly, and that's when every team in the league started doing it. Because if load management won the Raptors the title, why wouldn't you? From 2017 to 18 to 2022 to 23, the number of times a star player played one game of a back-to-back but sat out the other nearly doubled. It went up 87%. Stars were just picking and choosing which games they wanted to play, and it was driving fans and, more importantly, TV executives absolutely insane.
That's the thing. That's why NBA is going down, and that's why so many NBA players and mostly American players in general, like NFL players, baseball players, that's why they have short careers, because they have to be always in first. Like, if they have they don't feel good that day, no, you have to play. You have to play. That's not how you keep a star. That's not how you go for longevity. Not everyone is Ronaldo. Not everyone is LeBron. Not everyone can play 40 years, 20 years professionally, right?
In 2023, right before the 23 to 24 season, Adam Silver does what he does best: overreact. He pushes through the 65-game rule as part of the new CBA, and the way he framed it was very much a PR move. Silver said the rule was about the fans, and it was an acknowledgement that it has gone away from us a bit. Here's how the rule works. To be eligible for MVP, All-NBA, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Defensive Team, or Most Improved Player, you have to play in at least 65 out of 82 regular season games. There's a tiny exception. If you play 62 games and then suffer a season-ending injury, but only if you played in at least 85% of your team's games before you got hurt. And here's a tiny detail: a game only counts towards your total if you play at least 20 minutes in it, meaning you can check in for 10 minutes and limp off the floor and it literally doesn't count. Steve Kerr just admitted he only recently found out about that 20-minute threshold, calling it a detail buried in the rules fine print. Let me give you an example. Draymond Green has played 56 games this season, but 5 of those games he played under 20 minutes, so they don't even count. Think about that. You suit up, you play, you contribute, and the NBA says it doesn't matter because you didn't pass an arbitrary minutes threshold. Now, Adam Silver in the league office will tell you that this was negotiated with the Players Association, that everyone agreed to it. Silver said that there's no magic to the 65, but they were trying to account for games missed to injury and occasional rest. And let's be real about what actually happened here. The NBA was negotiating a new national media rights deal during this exact period. They were trying to sell TV networks on the idea that regular season games matter, that stars will actually show up. Let me explain this to you. If you're NBC or you're Amazon and you're about to give up billions of dollars for the NBA's games to be featured on your platform, you want to make sure that Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Steph Curry are all going to be playing in those games. You don't want them to be load managed games. There's a very logical motivation for the 65 game rule, and it had nothing to do with preserving the sanctity of awards races. It was a shot at the narrative of load management, an effort to
You know, the only thing behind the 65 game rule was money. That's always what it's about. Money, 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 money. It's the truth, sad truth.
To assure new television partners that they'd get what they paid for. So right from the jump, this rule was never really about the fans. It was about money. It was about TV deals, and the players got caught in the middle. So here's the thing that should end the entire debate. The 65 game rule is supposed to end load management. It's supposed to motivate players to chase those awards and as a result get lucrative contract extensions. And we could easily end this debate by asking one question and doing a deep dive on this one question. Is it working? No, absolutely not.
No.
Not even a little bit. Through every team's first 68 games this season, NBA stars have played in only 67.5%.
Bro, just imagine LeBron being like 40. I don't know how old is he now? 41, 40, 41? He's turning 41 this year, I think. Imagine being LeBron 40 and you have to go out and play 65 games just to qualify to become an MVP.
That means star players are missing roughly 1 out of every 3 games. Last season at the same point, it was 79.5%, so about 4 out of 5. In the first year of the rule, 2023 to 24, it was 80.4%. So the trend is going in the complete wrong direction. Star availability has gotten significantly worse since the rule was introduced, not better. And the load management numbers back this up too. During the 2023 to 24 season, the first season of the rule, there were 77 instances of a star player playing only 1 game of a back-to-back. The next year, that number went up to 86. So teams are still load managing. They're just getting more creative about how they report it. Instead of listing a guy as rest, they'll call it knee soreness or general body maintenance or whatever. The rule didn't stop load management, it just made teams better liars about it. And think about why that is. The rule punishes individual players by taking away their award eligibility, but load management decisions aren't made by players, they're made by coaching staffs, training staffs, and front offices. If you don't believe me, just listen to Richard Jefferson.
Load management was not created by the players. It was created by teams, training staff, and even some coaches. We'll give Greg Popovich some of this credit, but it wasn't created by the players. They are giving players days off, isn't needed, and it allows them to decondition themselves.
So the NBA has created a rule that punishes players for the decisions that teams are making. How does that make any sense? Which brings us to why I made this video, because this rule is very much affecting the 2025 to 26 season. The list of guys getting screwed is honestly embarrassing for the league. Let's start at the very top. Giannis, already ineligible. Steph Curry, already ineligible. LeBron James, already ineligible. 3 of the most iconic players in NBA history can't even be considered for any end of the season awards. LeBron's situation is especially crazy because he just snapped a 21-year consecutive All-NBA streak. 21 years in a row, not because he stopped being great, but because he sat out his 18th game this season due to left foot arthritis. Bro, LeBron is 41 years old. The man has played more basketball than arguably anyone in the history of the sport. The dude has played against 36% of the total players that have played in the NBA. And the NBA is telling him that his season pretty much doesn't count because he missed 18 games instead of 17. JJ Redick was upset about it, and Redick used to be a voter himself back in his media days, so he knows how the system works. He thinks the 65 game threshold should be used as guidance for voters, but not a hard cutoff. But that's not even the worst part. The guys who are still technically eligible are walking on a tightrope right now. Nikola Jokic, the guy averaging a near 30-point triple-double, the guy who became the first player in NBA history to put up a 55, 15, and 15 game, finishing with 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists this season. Can't miss a single game for the rest of the year. Not one. 4 days after dropping 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists on Christmas Day, Jokic hyperextended his knee on December 29th against the Miami Heat. He missed 16 games. Then he came back, and now he has zero margin for error. The man is arguably the most talented basketball player on the planet, and he's playing every night knowing that one bad landing, one awkward...
As I said in the previous video, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I'll leave a link for you. If a guy just is pissed at you, he's gonna push you and he's gonna come at you just to harm you. He's not here is on thin rope, and I think Jokic is not gonna qualify because, as I said before, and I said it again, if a guy is mad at you, if a guy is envying you, if a guy is jealous of you and your accomplishments, Jokic carried the Nuggets, MVP multiple times, best players, breaking scoring records. A guy's just gonna come and push him in an awkward situation, in like a weird situation, and he's gonna break something or he's gonna injure him just for one game. If you injure him for one game, he's gone. Or like he played a game and he played 10 minutes less. Doesn't count. Doesn't matter.
Step. Won anything could erase his entire season from the record books. Victor Wembanyama can only miss 2 more games. This dude is 22 years old. He's leading the league in...
Imagine being so tall as Wemby, because everything is harder then, and your bones are bigger. Everything is harder for you because you have to keep, you have to keep healthy to stay healthy because you're so tall. And imagine you having a pressure back in your mind. If I just walk on the street and I hit a rock, or something like a bottle falls on my foot, my season is gone. The chance to become an MVP is gone. The chance to win anything is gone this season. This season is not even like, doesn't even count if you don't win the finals. So
blocks. He is the frontrunner for Defensive Player of the Year, and he has the Spurs at 53-18 after they only won 57 games combined in the 2 seasons prior to this one. Kawhi Leonard has 1 game of wiggle room. Tyrese Maxey has a sprained tendon in his pinky finger, and he needs to come back and play 4 more games to qualify. And he's currently 3rd in the entire league in total minutes played. Think about the Maxey thing for a second. Bill Simmons put this perfectly. Maxey is 3rd in the league in total minutes, but he didn't play enough games to qualify. How is a guy who has logged more minutes than almost everyone in the entire NBA not eligible? Because he played those minutes in 61 games instead of 65. The rule is counting
Stupid.
boxes checked, not actual impact on the floor. Then there's our original example, Cade Cunningham. Cade is a very scary story. He is going to be reevaluated on April 2nd. If cleared, he'd have 2 days to ramp up before Detroit's game against the Sixers on April 4th. We're talking about a guy who had a collapsed lung, potentially rushing back to play basketball because a rule says that he needs to...
imagine, bro. Imagine being on the verge to be dead. Like, people don't realize death in its true meaning. Imagine being almost dead and you have to go out and play again. Like, that's just stupid. That's the fault of mostly the government, because it allows this kind of stuff to happen. Like, how can you do such things? Like, bro, this dude is clearly injured. Like, okay, he can qualify, right? He's clearly injured. It's not by him. It's not his choice. He didn't want to be injured. But
check in for 20 minutes in 4 more games or his season doesn't exist. Now, let me tell you why this really bothers me, and I guess you could say that maybe I'm reaching here. I'll let you determine in the comment section down below. Let's talk about Tyrese Haliburton. Go back to the 2023-24 season, the very first year of this rule. Tyrese Haliburton was dealing with a hamstring injury for the Indiana Pacers. He had a $204.5 million extension with a bonus worth a projected $41 million tied to making an All-NBA team. He went on JJ Redick's podcast at the time, and he straight up admitted to rushing himself back.
Like a sense of urgency to come back sooner than maybe.
Yeah, no question.
You did.
Yeah, what? And then not from like our medical staff, but or
No,
anything like
for
that.
sure.
But like, and then after that, like I played a certain amount of minutes, and towards the end of the game, I could feel my leg hurting. Like there was a play where Aaron went to flip the ball to me, and I was going the other way, and it went back court. And when I bent to pick up the ball, I was like, "Oh, this is not good." That night, I like remember getting in the car going back to the hotel, and I like had to sit down and pick my leg up to put it in the car. Like I couldn't really lift it.
He made it to 65 games, barely, and he got his All-NBA third-team selection and the $53 million that came with it. So from a financial standpoint, this all worked out for Tyrese Haliburton. But from a career standpoint, you could make an argument that this ruined everything. Haliburton suffered a torn right Achilles in Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals. He'd been playing through a calf strain since Game 5, and the Achilles tendon connects directly to the calf muscle. Now, I'm not saying that the torn Achilles was directly caused by him rushing back the previous
Yeah, it
season,
was.
injuries are
It
very
was.
complicated. But Tyrese himself
Most of the time,
admitted that
that's
pushing
the
through
cause.
soft tissue injuries earlier created issues. Now he's out for the entire 2025-26 season. He's gained 30 pounds during rehab, and he went from 180 pounds to 210 pounds while recovering. His body is completely different. That's a real human cost. And now look at what's happening with Cade. The quickest return from a collapsed lung in NBA history was 2 weeks by Terrence Jones in 2015. But players like CJ McCollum and Gerald Wallace needed 3 to 6 weeks. Cade is being reevaluated in 2 weeks. You can connect the dots here. The last thing the NBA should be doing is incentivizing a player to risk serious medical harm in order to fulfill the core tenets of its player participation policy. But that's exactly
Anything for the money. That's the fucking problem. That's the problem that people don't see with the NBA, and they still watching it. And yeah, it's funny. You want to watch something, you want to watch sports, but don't support this kind of thing. If something happened, like something like back in 2020, you remember what happened in 2020? Everyone on social media, oh yeah, this and that and this and that. Bro, if you come, everybody comes and says, oh, this is wrong. Don't do this anymore. Stop it, right? We're not gonna watch your games. You're not gonna buy we're not gonna buy the subscription, right? We're not gonna buy this thing. We're not gonna do this and that. That's how you're gonna make the league stop, right? But
what this rule does. Halliburton himself, who lived through this, went on LeBron's Mind the Game podcast earlier this season and sent a message that felt aimed directly at Adam Silver.
NBA players, we want to play. We don't want to sit down. We want to play. So I feel like there has to be a conversation for sure.
That's a guy whose career was altered by this rule, telling you point blank, the rule doesn't address the real problem. Now let's zoom out and talk about what this means for the biggest individual award in basketball. 5 of the top 8 players who are most likely to get MVP votes this season are at risk of losing eligibility. The rule that was supposed to make the regular season matter more is literally on the verge of making the MVP award meaningless. SGA is having the most efficient 30 points per game season in NBA history. Jokic is averaging a near 30-point triple-double with the best advanced metrics ever recorded. But if either one of them gets hurt in the last few weeks, the MVP race could come down to Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. And while both have had great seasons, a race between only those two players does not tell the true story of the 2025-26 season. And this is me talking about this as a Laker fan. I believe Luka Doncic has a very...
bro, it's like I experienced something similar. When I was younger and I play sports, I had this competition. I used to do karate, and I had this competition, and it was just me and another guy at the competition. So on my on the weight and on my category, the way that we were on 2 players. On my category, the way we were only 2 people in the whole category. Other categories and other competitions were like 40, 50 people, 10 people, something like that. Just 2 people, because they couldn't find enough people. So why do you have it anymore? It's just stupid.
Reasonable claim to win MVP this year after putting together one of his most efficient seasons to date.
Yeah, bro.
And look,
Luka
historically,
go
we never needed
crazy.
this rule to sort out the
Even
MVP.
talked about
Only
it in
5
last
players
video.
have ever won MVP, having
If you haven't watched last video, it's about the Balkans, why the Balkans are the best in the sport right now. So go watch that video.
played fewer than 65 games, and 4 of them did it in shortened seasons. Karl Malone in 1999, LeBron James in 2012, Giannis in 2020, and Bob Cousy in 1958. The only true MVP that wouldn't have qualified under this rule was Bill Walton in 1978, who played 58 games, but his Portland team was 50-10 and one of the greatest regular season teams in NBA history at the time. Voters already knew how to handle this. They already factored in games played. We didn't need an iron fist cutoff to solve a problem that barely existed. And now, because of this rule,
solving the
players
problem
who
that
don't
was never
deserve
there.
all NBA selections are going to end up making teams by default. And that's not just about trophies and ego. All NBA selections trigger supermax eligibility, which can bump a player's max salary from 30% to 35% of the salary cap. That's tens of millions of dollars that could potentially go to the wrong guys, or more importantly, get taken away from the right guys. This creates a scenario where a team has to pay supermax money to someone who doesn't deserve it, or they can deny the money and blow up the relationship. So what's the actual solution here? I'm not the only person that thinks this rule needs to be revamped. Draymond Green called it a dumb rule.
I don't think there's a soul on the voting committee that will look at Cade's 61 games played and say, I don't think he qualifies for the first team all NBA. And so here's a guy who's done everything right, has a collapsed lung, and he's going to miss all NBA because this dumb rule that does not fix the issue.
Steve Kerr said the rule needs to be revamped. Isaiah Stewart said he thinks it hurts guys. And then 3 days later, he strained his calf and got knocked out of DPOY contention himself. Bill Simmons proposed dropping the threshold from 65 games to 62 games, or alternatively, keeping you eligible if you play 2,000 plus minutes. He said, "We did this wrong. We overreacted. You almost have to see it play out with some examples before you know how stupid it is." And honestly, the minutes-based alternative makes way more sense, because a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's third in total minutes played, should not be getting disqualified because he's 4 games short. But here's the thing, even Simmons' fix is just another bandage. The real problem, the root cause that the NBA refuses to address, is that the 82-game season is just too long. Everyone in the league knows it.
As a fan, I cannot watch
the pace of the modern NBA is faster and more physical than ever, and the data shows that injuries have been increasing over the last 20 years. The NBA's own league commissioned report said that in the 1980s, star players missed an average of 10.4 games per season. Now, a 2024 study found that
remember in 1980s, I remember watching Michael Jordan podcast. He was talking about his teammates were drinking, smoking, doing crack, sniffing the white stuff, and they would come play, everything would be better, right? And they come after the game, cigarette and all that. And now you have a healthy life. You live, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do anything of that. You do any kind of that. And things happen, you get pushed, you fall, you jump the wrong thing. It happened to me multiple times. I jumped poorly, and I landed bad and my ankle was doomed. But things happen. And what happens now? What do I do now? That's the main question. That should be the concern.
Players miss an average of nearly 24 games per season. That's more than double. The game has changed. The bodies haven't. Do that because fewer games means fewer home gates, fewer TV broadcasts, and less money. So instead of fixing the schedule, they slapped a rule on the players and called it a day. Adam Silver introduced this rule and told us it was about the fans. But the fans don't want to see the MVP award go to someone who won by default because the actual best players got hurt. Fans don't want to see all NBA teams that don't represent the best players in the league. Fans don't want to see Cade Cunningham potentially rush back from a collapsed lung because a rule says that he has to. That's not for the fans, that's for TV contracts. And the players are paying the price. The 65-game rule didn't fix load management. It didn't make stars play more. It didn't make the regular season more exciting. All it did was create a ticking time bomb that is now blowing up in the NBA's face. And the only question left is whether Adam Silver has the guts to admit that he was wrong, or if we're just going to keep watching the league's best players get erased from history because of a number that somebody pulled out of the air. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, make sure you're subscribed so you can...
Yeah, man. Great video. Tell me your opinion. What do you think about the 65-game rules? Write it down in the comments. Also, follow me on Instagram. You're gonna see here, right here somewhere. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. And make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel to see more. And we're out.